So welcome to Challenge the Road, a really special show for you today. It's going to be a lot longer than the other ones. It's going to take a bit more time, slow it down, because we've got two 22Bs. But the special bit's going to be, I've also got a 1998 Subaru Impreza Turbo. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in here next to the 22B and have a look at all the differences. But let's just talk about this 22B. Now, you know about the low mileage one I've got, 5,000 miles. I have been driving that, but I really want to keep it. I thought about selling it, actually put it on collecting cars, but that was just because I was getting the P1. But I'm in a position now where I'm going to keep the low mileage one and I'm going to get another one that I can drive, which I've done. Now, yesterday, I went out and I purchased this 22B. Now, I'd been looking at it for a couple of weeks, as in I saw the advert online on Facebook, I spoke to the owner, spoke a bit about the car. There was a couple of things I wasn't sure about, and they're options that STI had that I didn't know were available, and that made a big difference to me. But we'll go through them a bit later on. But the journey was, I wanted a 22B, I wanted one with more miles I can drive. I've been loving driving the Mitsubishi, it's absolutely awesome. So this is a 30,000 mile car. Very, very good car. I went there, I bought it on the day, but you've got to come on the journey with me because we've got to see how original is this car. And the only way to do that is to put it next to the original one. So the plan is, review this against the 98 car. This is a 1998 22B, but we've got the original Subaru here. But also, we're going to put this next to the original car, have a look at all the features, all the bolts, all the bodywork, and see, was it a good buy or not at the end of this video. I'm hoping it is a good buy, but you're going to come with me and go through it. So what we do, let's get the normal Subaru Impreza Turbo in, put them side by side. I'll talk you through all the differences and why the 22B is the next F40 of JDM's. And we're going to talk through how it was built, all the extras it has. But let's get that car in so you can really see the differences. So I've been waiting for this opportunity. The Subaru 1998 Impreza with the Subaru 22B. 40th anniversary for Subaru. 3 manufacturer crowns, and this was their celebration car, the Subaru 22B. Putting them both in, because I've never really put them side by side, you can see the differences already in the whole body shell. The 22B just looks so much bigger than this car here, but what we'll do, we'll talk about both of the cars. I'm going to start over there with the 1998 car, tell you a bit of the history of Subaru, my history with Subarus. Then we go through the 22B and we really get to grips with why it's so special. And these today are commanding, I think, astronomical prices, but I think they're going to go even higher, and we'll go through that too. So let's move over to the Subaru Impreza Turbo 98 and we'll do a little walk round. So let's have a look at this 1998 Subaru Impreza. Now, the history for myself was McRae series, 1999 Impreza, RB5, 22B, P1. Then that was the era for me of Subaru. I didn't go on to the newer models. I stayed in that era of McRae, Burns, Kankkunen, all these heroes of mine, Solberg, who drove them as well. Let's go back in time. The 1995 McRae series, there were 200 made, had different vents here, was in a dark blue with gold wheels. This is a 1998 car. Slightly different grille here, slightly different headlamps. I think it's a lovely looking car, slightly different rear spoiler as well, but we'll go through that. These were 208 horsepower. The one I had in the 99 version, I think, went to 218. That was a really good car. RB5, 237 horsepower. There was a Pro Drive pack for that as well. And the P1 was 276 and the 22B was 276, but we'll go through that because I think it's got a bit more power. when I drove here today, because I haven't driven this car, and I thought, right, I'll go out, pick it up, because it was at my lakes, I'll go and pick it up and I'll drive it. It still drives so well. And anyone back in that time remembers these Subarus, and I'll tell you why it drives so well. It just drives anywhere, at any speed. So for me, potholes, speed bumps, there's no real difference. And when I was cornering, I actually could feel the car moving and turning with me, and it just felt really nice. Now, it doesn't feel very fast now. In them days, you had the little turbo whoosh and you thought, crikey, I'm going 1,000,000 miles an hour. I love these Subarus. These days, obviously, this isn't very quick. But the thing is it's super enjoyable, this. Let's have a look at the bodywork, tell you what I'm going to do to the car in the future. So let's run through the front. Now, my brother had this car, and unfortunately, it's got keyed down the side. This is a lightweight bonnet. So what we're going to do is we're going to respray the whole car with Matt at Unique Vehicle Solutions. He's going to do the car for me. I'm going to do it exactly the same colour because I love this blue. It's a lovely dark blue. Mechanically, Stuart Hall, ex-Subaru engineer, is going to do all the mechanical side for me. But I'm going to keep the standard suspension. I still think it drives great. I know we'll tune it a little bit. I think we'll talk about the exhaust and that. But that original car is still a great car. Value-wise, I paid £7,000 for this car. I think they're going to go up still. And I think if I was buying a car I wanted to just go anywhere, it's still got to be the Subaru. I may have this in a wagon. I know a few friends at the time. A good friend of mine, Steve Backley, I mentioned him, ex-Javelin. He had one of these in the wagon, a silver one. We used to play a lot of golf, and he'd come round, he'd go, oh, I love my Subaru. And even to today, he says that's one of the best cars he's ever driven. So driving experience is fantastic. Values are on the up. What we do, let's have a look at the inside, go back in time. Obviously, it's 25 years old, this car. So let's have a look at the inside. Right, let's jump in this 1998 Impreza. Anyone remember Sigma? Sigma alarms here. Hopefully it won't go off. But yeah, it's interesting getting back in here. I always remember this steering wheel being quite big, which it is. McRae series was like this too. Even the 22b, quite a big steering wheel actually. I love this. I think this is a Nardi gear knob. It feels really nice. And remember this. I always remember trying to clean this, always get mucky. The seats actually feel fine. Almost feel a little bit like a bucket seat, but maybe not as much. They just feel really good, really easy. In here today, I think when I was driving, the nice thing is the visibility. And that's one of the things I think with these older cars, when you get in these supercars now, it's like you're sort of penned in a little bit sometimes, and you don't have that visibility, especially the Lamborghinis and stuff. But on these, you just got so much visibility. 4-door as well. The dials do look a little bit old now. I must say that. No aircon, and it's like the hottest day of the year. Was nice driving back. Stereo, couldn't get it to work, and then I realised I had to put my hand out the window and pull up the aerial, which I'd done here, and it got better and better, and in the end I was no problem. I was actually picking up radio everywhere. Sometimes even on the modern cars I wasn't getting signal, but on this I was. But yeah, it's a nice place to be. It's just very simple, isn't it? Stripped out. But 4-door is nice, and there's quite a lot of room in the back actually. Glove box. There's some stuff in there. I haven't even looked at the stuff in there. But, oh, what's this? Won't be wearing those. But yeah, nice place to be. Easy. I've got to get the aircon done. So we've got the bodywork, aircon, mechanical side. Let's just have a look round the back. We'll show you the difference in the spoiler as well, and what we can do with the exhaust. Original Subaru had a really, well, it didn't actually have a spoiler at all, but on the McRae it had a very low spoiler. But I think this is probably one of the best ones. I really like this spoiler. I remember when I had the McRae, I actually changed and put this spoiler on. Exhaust at the moment is standard. I'd probably go for a Scooby Sport or yeah, Hayward and Scott. But yeah, it's the problem with this car at the moment is the bodywork is so bad. I don't know if it's coming up on here, but I know Matt done a fantastic job on the 22b, and I'm sure he will on this. But The back of this car I really like. It's just really subtle, really nice, and I'll keep it like that. I think this is more like not a daily driver, but something I can just go out in the evenings, have a lot of fun and really enjoy it. Let's have a look at the wheels and the brakes, and then we move over to the 22B. I wonder why the ride was so good. These are actually 195, 60 profile, 15. I always remember the 2001 had 16-inch rims, and then I went up to Oz Racing 17-inch rims. I've actually bought a set of Super Turismo 17-inch rims that I used to have. Now, unfortunately back then, my brother crashed the car. So he bought my 99 car from me, and then he crashed the car and he hit the curb and he wrote 2 of the wheels off and we couldn't get another set. So now I found some on, where was I? On Facebook, and someone put up that they had some Super Turismo 17-inch for Subaru, and I thought, I have to buy them. So I just bought them, and I'm going to put them on here because I think it will just drive better. It give me more grip. This is quite a small tyre on here. I think we go to like a 215, 45, 17 then on these. Maybe like a Yokohama, and it just fill the arches better. But I can see why you can go anywhere. It's almost like having an all-terrain tyre. And back then we didn't have the punches and everything we get now, and it's because you've got so much tyre there compared to alloy. We'll pop the bonnet up, have a look at the engine, then we're over to the 22B. So here's the famous 2-litre flat 4 boxer engine. This is probably not in the best condition, but it's typical Subaru. Got a little bit of rust on the bolts, but this are all clean up. I think I'll do a video on this. I'll probably get Richard Tipper to come in, Perfection Valet. He just done the P1 at London Concours. I'd love to see him, just do this and video it all for you, because I know this will look pretty good. This is pretty standard on Subarus, but a lot of them don't even have this now. This would just wear away. And considering this has done 125,000 miles, it's actually pretty good. So I think it'll come up pretty good. The bolts and that look original. Looks original along here, but obviously we're going to respray the car anyway. But this just gives you an idea of that engine bay, and when we go to the 22B now, you'll see the big differences in the engine. So let's move to the 22B. So let's go through the history of the 22B. Now, 424 made. 400 for the Japanese market, sold out 30 minutes. The UK had such demand for this car, 50 were imported very quickly, straight away to UK shores. ProDrive responded, 16 UK cars, 5 for Australia, so 421. But that's not the end. They built 3 000 cars, 1 for Nicky Grist, 1 for David Lapworth, but 1 for Colin McRae. That car's in Scotland, Noble Subaru Garage. It's just so iconic, this car. I remember the first time I saw it in Evo magazine, 001. The stance, everything. This is just the ultimate Subaru Impreza. Maybe the ultimate JDM car. The first thing with the 22B that hits you is the bodywork. So we're going to go through everything that's different. So let's just start at the front. Fog lights on the 98 car. These have got these STI covers. You didn't get them on the UK cars. You used to have like a little clear cover you put on to protect them. Bigger front bumper, WRC type front bumper. Wide arch wings. Now, it's actually wider than the WRC car. Grills, different here. The 98 car's sort of sunk in. These are all raised up, much more aggressive on that. On the arch, you have a titanium STI badge. Now these, last time I looked, were about £1,000 each for that badge. Doors are the same, but you've got this lovely wide sill that goes round to these flared arches at the back. Again, wider than a WRC car. How many cars have that? Not many at all. Rear spoiler WRC, again, taller than a WRC car. So this car is like a pumped up Colin McRae WRC car. 22B badge on the back. This one has got an upgraded exhaust, which we'll go through when we look at the differences with the two. I think it looks incredible, especially under these lights today. This is WRC 555 blue. The rally cars, very slightly darker blue than this. This is slightly lighter than the rally cars. But I think if you put stickers on this, maybe had bigger wheels, it would look like a WRC car. If you put those 6-spoke 18-inch rims on this, it would look incredible. The wheels on this are 17-inch, really weird size. They come with a 235 40/17, which is really hard to get. These have got 235 45 17s, and it just fills the arch a bit better. It looks under-tired with the 40s. So the owner who had this before has done a good job there. The wheels are very set in. I would probably like to put maybe a spacer on these just to bring them out, but it's just because the arches are so flared on them. Standard 4-pot brakes from the Subaru Impreza. There's no difference there, but this one has got some upgraded pads. The wheels are Speedline, magnesium. Fantastic alloy. I really like the look of them. I've said the wrong alloy. Sorry, I said the wrong alloy. The speed lines are on the WRC car. Now the 6 spokes I've got on the WRC car, but these are magnesium BBS alloys. It's a fantastic looking rim. I really like it. BBS is like a historic alloy wheel design. Retro, you remember Golf GTIs, them type of cars had these BBSs in like a 14 and a 15. But yeah, 17-inch rims. I think that covers the outside. It has got a tinted rear window, rear quarters, which is really nice, and tinted rear window. And I think that is pretty much it. So what we do, we're going to jump inside, go through the interior, and just show you some of these options that I didn't really know about and I really want to show you. Right, so let's jump in the 22B. So the first thing that hits you, doors are the same card. STI steering wheel, Nardi wheel. Remember I had the Nardi gear knob in there? This has got the Nardi wheel. It's very, very thin. I think it's just slightly too big. I'd have it just a little bit small and I think it would feel a lot nicer. When I've been driving, it feels a little bit big there. I think it would just make it feel a little bit more nimble. These are the extra bits I was talking about. Lamu, whoever Lamu are. These are from Subaru, from factory parts. Now, when I was buying this, they actually put me off. I saw it and I thought, not sure I like all them bits on there. It's probably some aftermarket thing, but actually I've got all the brochures and this is from Subaru, and you could order this with a 22B. I never knew that. I love stuff like that, when you don't know stuff and then you find out a bit more. This stereo here has a massive subwoofer in the boot, massive Kenwood speakers, and I thought, another aftermarket thing. I have to try and find an original Subaru stereo. No, this is a factory Subaru option for 22B. This car coming from Japan with the original owner. So the owner from Japan come and lived in the UK, took the 22B with him. And these are all factory original parts, which just make it, I think it actually makes it better than the other original car, you know. I really like that. I do like having the turbo gauges and all the pressures, temperature of the oil, the battery. I think they're really nice things to have in a car like this. Badging down here, they all have badges. I said there was 3 000. This is number 388 of 400. But what's strange is that this was built before number 347 I have over there. So when Subaru done this, probably a bit like Lamborghini, They just put the numbers out there. They weren't actually in any sort of order. So, you know, a 001 car is going to be maybe still a 99 reg, whereas this is a 98. Clifford alarms. I used a lot of Clifford. They used a lot of Cobra ones as well. In here, central diff. You don't get this on many UK cars, if at all. But on the Japanese ones, I think the STI4, STI5, at the moment this is set 65% rear, 35% front. But as you turn that, you can ratchet that up to a 50-50 split. I have moved it up one when I'm driving, maybe two. I really like it. I feel like I get more pull on the front. And there's some of the bits when we do a driving video, you'll see and you'll be able to go, oh right, this car has the ability to change, which I love, just toggling that along. I love the dials in here. At night they glow like in a green, and I really like them. And when I was out the other night, I thought this is fantastic, especially when I can take the covers off and they become like really bright headlights, like a rally car. Interesting stuff here as well. These switches, with the original car, I think I've got one for the alarm and one for water spray auto and IC water spray. Now, on this car, I've got the fog lamp, but I've also got this AP and a fan sign. And I thought, AP, what's AP? It's a pollen filter that you could have ordered for these. I've never seen it before on one, but it's actually nice because I've got all the switches filled in here. It feels really nice, whereas the other car, there's one with a blank. So the actual spec on this is actually probably better than original car. And at the time, I think that's maybe put a few people off buying it. But as soon as I knew it was original, I thought, right, that's it, I've got to have this car. The seats feel pretty much identical to the original car. The 98 car we looked at, but obviously the materials are better. It's got STI, it's got this lovely blue suede. Other thing not original, and we will go through that, but these mats are not original compared to the car. Glove box, interested on Subaru because you get two. There's some old tax discs in there, but lots of room in a Subaru. Roof all looks the same. Obviously it's two-door, but very big doors, so very easy to get people in and out of. On the central dial in the middle, when you're toggling the diff, it actually goes up and down there, so you can see your diff setting on the dial, which is a really nice position, because as you're doing that, you see that go up. Pedals seem identical. Maybe go for some metal STI pedals actually long term, but yeah, they're just the same as the 98 car. What we do now, we need to go through the performance of this car and why it's so different to a 98 car all the way through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back out and I'll talk you through every bit on the 22B. Before we go to the engine, I just want to tell you why this car is so special and the bits that were done. The car's 80mm wider than the standard car. Seam welded chassis. These cars could not go through the production line at Subaru, so they were all hand painted. Rose jointed suspension. Let's just talk about the name, because this causes a bit of debate now. All the Subarus were 2 litres, this was 2.2. They think it's 22B because of 2.2 boxer engine, but a lot of people say it's 2.2 Bilstein because that was the bespoke suspension that was made on this car. I think it's 2.2 boxer, but that's up for debate. But that seems logical to me because this is the only 2.2 Subaru in this model range of the 1992 generation. This is the only 2.2. What we do, let's open up the engine, go through the performance, have a look at the differences between that and the 98 car. So let's just go through this engine. Still feels quite heavy here. I thought it would be lighter. Now, start from the top. Look at this carbon strut brace across here, tuned by STI. It's obviously 2.2. That's a 2 litre. Other bits are obviously this red in here, red across here, which is really nice. Looks fairly standard. I can see pipe across there, which is obviously an air filter, but when we put it with the original car, we really know the differences. 276 horsepower is what is quoted from Japan. All cars were quoted at 276. A lot of these were over 300 horsepower. The 2.2 gave it a lot of torque. So when you drove the older model, you would get torque at, say, 4,500. 3,200 is where the torque is here. It's got a 5-speed short shift STI gearbox. This goes through the gears like crazy. You just go gear, gear, another gear, give me another gear, give me another gear. That's how it drives. If you look back on my videos, you'll see that. I think it's a really nice looking engine bay. This is obviously, as it's come to me, it hasn't been touched. Quite an original car. I think once I've cleaned this will look really nice. You can actually have this redone. You can see it's sort of flaking off a bit here. But again, someone like Perfection Valet would make this absolutely immaculate. And that's what I'd love for him to do. We spoke about up here. This is just that sign of mileage. So this has done 30,000 miles. I think when we see the other original car, this should be pretty immaculate. But yeah, it's not a huge amount different apart from obviously the badge in the red here. You don't see like it's massively different from that car. But obviously the performance is low down. It's built for rallying, built for country lanes. Fantastic to drive. What I think we do now, we take the original car out. We bring over my original 5,000 mile 22B. And let's do an audit. Let's see, because I haven't done it yet. Let's say I've only got the car yesterday. Let's go through all the panels, all the parts, see what may be resprayed or is slightly different. Put them side by side, and we'll have a journey around both of them. Both of them here, 5,000 mile car, 30,000 mile car. So we need to go through this and see the differences. I must admit, I'm a little bit apprehensive, but the first thing I can see is this front bumper. I think it may need respraying. I don't know if it's original or not, but I can see it I can just feel it here where, I don't know if it's been resprayed in the past or difficult to know. The bonnet, I think, is original because I can see lots of touch-up bits here. I wouldn't be scared of respraying this front bumper, and I don't think it would make much difference to the value. But sometimes it is quite difficult to tell, but I do think it's probably been resprayed. This one, I know I have resprayed this because it had a scratch from the original owner. So this has been resprayed. So this is not original paint, but is original bumper. This car's fully PPF'd, so it will look slightly different in the lights. I think this is original. What's quite interesting is when I looked inside the car, because it's seam welded, you could see the actual lines, and I thought at first that down in here it might have been resprayed, but it actually hasn't. It's actually identical to this, and they've got identical marks where the doors go in, so I'm very happy there. Back through here, I was trying to look in here and see if there's much. I can see a few stone chips here. This looks very similar here. These are quite difficult to get now, these rubbers in this blue, and they look absolutely identical. The bolts, they look identical as well there. So I think we're all good here. BBS on here. These are obviously the ProDrive speed lines I put on. I feel they look a bit under-tired because they're 35 profile. So it was just because we put a higher profile and they were rubbing on the edges because they've got a very wide offset. I think these are original because there's some touch-up paint here I can see. So I think if you were going to redo them, you'd just redo the whole wheel. So I think these are original with the original. These have got, I think this has got STI, but I'm sure some of them had BBS on. I'd have to look round. The back of the car, when I saw the rear, I thought, oh, this is strange. I can see a little crease line in here. And then when I went back to the original car, exactly the same crease line here. Quick steering tuned by STI, both stickers on there. That's interesting. The rear wiper looks different. That's got 3 holes in the back. This has got 7. So that's quite interesting. Is that the same? Is that original? Maybe there was differences in it, or they actually changed this wiper blade. Obviously they're 25 years old now, so probably they changed the wiper blade. They still look very similar, but as I say, 7 holes there, only 3 there. The back, I think the back bumper needs redoing on this one. I do tend to go a little bit thunny, but it just doesn't quite look the same finish as the rest of the car. It looks a little bit flat, but again, a lot of these cars, respraying front and back bumper doesn't really make much difference. Let's have a look at inside, show you a few of the differences there, and then we'll pop up the hood and we can really see if there's any differences in the bolts. So let's just have a look inside, see the differences. Alarm will probably go off. Clifford alarm on this. But on here, as I was saying, this one's got 3 switches, the other one's got 4. They've got a pollen filter here, and I think the fog light's over there, but these 2 are the same. These mats as well. This is all original 22B mats. We haven't got that in there. I'm going to try and source them. It's a really good contact for 22Bs, Ali Burrows. He's like the expert on 22Bs. Maybe you have some, maybe not. But the stereo as well, this is original Subaru in here. But again, that's a factory option, so it's still really original. No gauges on this like the other one. But again, I actually quite like them in that. Let's go to the engine bays. So let's open the bonnet on this. This car was prepared by Perfection Valet, so it's super clean, probably as clean as you're going to get a 22B actually. Richard done a fantastic job on this. Now, we need to look at bolts and stuff. Right, let's just turn that alarm off, because that Clifford, if you had them in the day, you know what it's like, they keep going off. Now, all Subarus should have these blue bolts. So let's just go across to the one we just purchased. Blue, 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 blue. Now, there was a recent 22B on collecting cars that I was bidding on, and I noticed the bolts were all silver on one side, and actually it had been in a big accident. So one of the key things you've got to look for is all these blue bolts. I'm just looking at this bolt here, silver, this here, it's got the markings the same. Seeing a little bit of sort of wax and that here, which is good. Just have a look at this here. This is the difference, like a very low mileage car. This sticker here. This is very clean, this sticker here. So let's go back to the other car. There's some bits on the headlamps as well, which is quite a telltale sign. We've got those. They're marked. Same badge in here, marked on the light there. The pipe across is slightly different, but I think that's a sticker. Oh no, this does say Subaru on here. This one is slightly different. Oh no, it does say Subaru. No, it's just a sticker with pipe across on there. I'm pleased with that. Yeah, up here we got the sticker, it's just not very clean. Obviously this is showing the mileage a bit more. The alarm is in the standard position there, which we've got. There's SS on the top mounts, we've got that there. So they look to me pretty similar. Sometimes on these they sort of cut in here, I find. I don't know if... Yeah, so if you see that on there, that's actually cut in, but on the higher mileage one, it's not so present on there, which is interesting. I can't see hardly any differences. This, you got the blue on here that you want, which they had. Little bits come off, but that's the same on that one. So the front looks very good, and it's just making me wonder about this. I don't know if you can see that, whether that would pick up, but maybe it hasn't been resprayed. Maybe it's just mottled and it is original. Sometimes very difficult to tell because you've got a hand-painted car, because on here I've got a little bit of chipping. Actually, I can see a bit of mottling in this, but this one has been, this front end has been resprayed, but I don't know. It's very, very difficult to tell. But it looks a very, very, very good car, this. And I think when it's actually cleaned up, it'll come up really nice. I say, we can also take this off here and have this resprayed back in that original red. If you have a look in at this one here, you see all the flaking. And then when you come over to this being like a 5,000 mile car, you see how deep the red is, how the quality of that. So I think that could be improved and would be a nice update. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with this car. Obviously, sometimes you have to take a bit of a gamble. You never know. But I have a good feeling about 22Bs. So what we do, we put this down, this bonnet, and we just have a final conclusion on the Subaru 22B. The only other thing I found on the cars is that this car comes with a twin plate ceramic clutch, and it's very tricky to use. This car hasn't got that. It's got an original clutch, but it's much nicer to drive. They're the only differences I can see at the moment. That's the mechanical one. I think the pads have been upgraded on this, but I think on this the pads have been upgraded too. So there's not a huge amount. But let's just go into 22B and my feeling on the car. If there's 424 made, how many good ones are there? Now, a lot of these were wrapped round trees, crashed into hedges, that was me. So there's not 424. Let's just say 350. Then how many have been tuned? Lots of these got tuned. Some of them running 400, 450 horsepower. If you remember Prince Nazim's one, he'd redone all the interior with King logos all over it. So how many original cars are there? 200. Right, then let's break that down into mileage. So how many are under 30,000 miles or under? 50. Then let's just go into, so how many are under 10,000 miles? Let's just say 25. I started to really look into it and think, well, how many are 5,000 miles and less? I think about 10, maybe 15. So if you're looking at investment and stuff, obviously this 5,000 mile 22B, I don't think there's a limit. I think if someone wants one, the amount of buyers to cars, you're probably 50 to 1. There's 50 buyers for this car, but there's only one. So the value always goes higher. The 30,000 mile car will appreciate because this will go up and up and up. 500, 750, 1 million. These will then look good value at 300,000-400,000. And I just think it's crazy thinking like that. But when you really get into that American market and people who are really into Subaru, this is their F40. This is the Subaru F40. And to tell the truth, I've driven an F40. I still like the 22B. And I know the F40 is my favourite all-time car. I think it looks amazing. I think, you know, the twin turbos and everything. But if you're in this era of PlayStation, Gran Turismo, all these things, this is one of the cars you really lusted after. And because there's so few. I looked on the market actually to try and buy one. There's none for sale. Zero. I know one recently sold for over $200,000 with 120,000 miles. So that just shows you the next sale, which if you follow us on Instagram, we post loads on Instagram about values and cars and appreciating cars. I just want to see how much does the first car go to America? How much is it going to be? I'm really keen. I just want to know, what is it? Have I made a stupid mistake? Or have I done my research, know what I'm doing, and then first cars start going 300, 400, 500,000 to America? It's going to be really, really interesting to know. I hope you really enjoy this video. We love being in this garage. It's a fantastic setup. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We'd love you to comment. We'd love you to like, even share. We're trying to get over 5,000 followers. We're really close now. But we're going to bring more and more of these type of videos in the future. And you know, if it helps you learn a little bit more about cars, then that's brilliant for you. It's great for me. I love sharing the stories about Subaru and all the other cars that I've had in manufacturers. I'll see you again soon.